that the whole world should be decentralized financing together.
What do you say to people who think that's crazy?
I'll tell them what's crazy is that I have to call the bank and ask for permission, and I have to pay $50 to send a wire. If I want to go to the bank and ask for cash, they ask me what the fuck you trying to get cash for. Shout out to the guys that created Fiat. Geniuses, bro.
Luke Belmar is back with the co-founder of Jupiter exchange Meow,
the most used decentralized exchange in crypto with over $170 billion in total volume.
What's the definition of success for males today by the society?
It's actually a really important point. In traditional society, you get so much status. If you say, hey, I work in Goldman Sachs, you get money, you get opportunity, you get laid.
Oh, you work at Wall Street?
Ooh, wow.
People say, oh, things are getting more expensive. It's not that things are getting more expensive. It's that the value of your energy is being stolen from you.
Money can only be created if a sufficient amount of energy is infused into that money system.
Energy can neither be created nor destroyed. This is natural law. Money is energy.
But here's the thing. Crypto itself doesn't make you free. Your values make you free.
The beauty about being on-chain is the fact that it's permissionless. I don't have to ask anybody for anything. Code is the ruler, not some law from Washington, D.C. that's being passed down upon me.
You're not even trying to be successful. You're trying to look successful.
And you're trying to adopt somebody else's definition of success.
So how would you advise people to construct a crypto portfolio and make millions?
Here's how you do it. Number one, you need to... All right, ready whenever you are.
Born ready.
Amazing, guys. So this is a very special one today. Not even planned. 1 hour ago, Luke texts me and is like, hey, Meow is gonna come, which is pretty amazing, especially after the last few days, which was complete chaos, and then everything turns out to be next level.
Dude, I've been wanting to come for a long time, man.
It's been, probably what, a couple of weeks? Couple of months?
Yeah, a couple of months, yeah, for sure.
But everybody's too busy, obviously. And then we're not helped by, Mother Nature. So it makes the whole thing definitely much trickier. Maybe, to start, let's do some introductions for people who don't know you guys. Maybe we start with Luke.
Luke Belmar, founder of Capital Club, one of the largest entrepreneur networks in the world. Started my journey in the digital space 2016. Started buying Bitcoin, $588, transitioned to e-commerce, did extremely well there. Decided to focus on content creation and the content creator economy. 2023 generated 1.35 billion views, and now really focused on what I like to call the digital gold rush, which is the new opportunity of focusing my attention, my energy, and my efforts on building things online and finding partnerships and collaborations with the likes of my boy here, Meow from Jupiter, and just elevating.
Meow.
Cool, I'm Meow from Jupiter. Jupiter is the largest, most used decentralized trading platform. We did about 100 billion in spot and perps volume in Q1 this year. And yeah, so our goal is simple. We think that the whole world should be decentralized financing together. Yeah, because the more finance is centralized, the more power is centralized, and that doesn't stand. So we need to decentralize finance together, and that's all I'm here about. Yeah.
So what's really interesting here is, obviously you're all in crypto, right? You're building one of the largest.
I have barely any fiat. No, seriously, guys, I have negative fiat. Do you know why? My credit card balance. that's my credit card. So I have negative fiat and all in crypto. Yeah.
So you're one of those with the empty wallet, empty bank account, and
nothing. No negative bank account. Negative. No, because it's a credit card statement. That's all I have. Yeah.
What about you?
$7,000, bro.
Fully on chain, brother.
What do you say to people who think that's crazy?
I'll tell them what's crazy is that I have to call the bank and ask for permission to move my money. And what's crazy is that I have to pay $50 to send a wire. And what's crazy is that if I want to go to the bank and ask for cash, they ask me what the fuck you trying to get cash for. It's my money. So the beauty about being on chain is the fact that it's permissionless. I don't have to ask anybody for anything. And code is the ruler, not some whimsical law from Washington, D.C. that's being passed down upon me.
And to people who say I'm crazy, okay, would you give some of your money? Right? For example, if I give you $20 now and you hold $20, whose money is it? Yours or mine? Is it yours or mine? It's yours, actually. You know, technically it's yours. So okay, if it's my money, right? And if it's my money, if it's your money, and you give someone to hold your money, they use it however money they want. They use it whatever they want. They take interest on that, right? Whatever. So who's crazy, you or me? You know, that's the main thing. You know.
When did you start to? Because obviously we were not born believing that way, right? And kind of hating the banks. When did
I don't
you?
hate the banks.
But when did you start realizing, oh man, like it makes sense to have almost no money or negative money in the traditional fiat system, and I should have everything in crypto? Was it a gradual thing, or is it an experience that happened, or what's the moment that you're really thinking, man, this is a no-brainer? And not only to make money and build wealth, but just in terms of, you know, kind of like ease of use. And
I think it came in many stages, right? I think when I was in high school, I was taught the Great Depression, right? I was studying the Great Depression, right? And then I asked a question to my teacher, right? Asked her, then they were like, everyone lost money. I'm like, where did money go, right? It's a good question, right?
It's a
How
great
could
question.
everyone lose money? Where did money go? Because when we were young, right, money was taught to us as a thing, you know, right? That it wasn't taught to us as confidence, as trust, right? So I was like, when money go, and everyone laughed at me, right? They're like, haha, what a stupid question, ha ha ha. Then it's only until like many years later that I was like, holy shit, it's actually a really good question, right? But I felt very stupid back then, right? But what I didn't know was that moment represented a genesis moment for me, right? In a sense, I started really questioning like what money is, right? And then obviously, as I go in life, I studied a lot of economic stuff, and then they didn't make sense to me, right? It's like they just don't explain anything, right? And I was like, okay, you study things that seem to make sense in textbooks, but they don't apply in the real world at all, right? I mean, if economics work, then why is the world so fucked? You know what I'm saying, right? So I was like, okay, so it was an incremental disillusion, right? You know, with how we were educated about crypto and economics, right? Not economics, right? And then crypto came by, right? And then over time, I was like, holy shit, it's amazing because for the first time, you actually own money. You can create money, right? You can send money. You actually own the money yourself, right? And so that began like a very, very, very like ideological paradigm shift, right, for me. And then later on, as the more I did it, the more I did stuff, and the more the technologies improved, right? And I could easily send money around. I realized, holy shit, like why if I send some money to my friend to the US, it costs like what, 20%?
Yeah.
10%? Crazy. Why?
And it takes 3-4 days.
Precisely.
Why? Where's the
why?
money?
Why? So the more you, so guys, so anyone who's watching this and who haven't actually been using decentralized stuff yet, right? The more you get into it, the more you realize how the current system don't make sense. I can go on days for
And
this.
how it's just absolute shit, dude. The current
Shit.
system is just garbage. It's outdated. Too much bureaucracy. Too
They
much
control
policy.
you.
What happens when a wire gets lost? Wow, what the fuck is a wire getting lost? Where's the money? It's just sitting in limbo. The amount of middlemen that it takes from point A to point B is ridiculous. If I go right now to the grocery store, go to 7-Eleven, I want to buy a bottle of water. I have to pay taxes on it. I have to pay 2.9% credit card fee. Now the person that's receiving the money, now they get taxed sales tax. The amount of money that's being robbed in the process of transacting
Definitely.
is the scam. Peer-to-peer is the single greatest revolution that has been reintroduced due to technology. When you look at coinage, and coinage was introduced into the system, coinage was merely just an advancement of technology. It was merely the ability to find a common piece of value so that if, let's say, you had a plot of land and I had cows, right? What if the plot of land was valued at 2.5 cows? I wouldn't cut the cow in half. So the scalability of peer-to-peer transactions was limited based off of the goods that you had. But when coinage was introduced into the system, aka a form of value that we agreed upon, now I was able to, which is hard money because it wouldn't rot or it wouldn't, die like a cow, or it wouldn't get repossessed. For example, it was a piece of land by thieves. So that introduced a new revolution, which is the ability to transact. However, as time went on, coinage now was turned into fiat. Fiat being the form of control, which was initially supposed to represent the money that was sitting in the bank, right? And it just became easier to transact paper that was just a receipt of the gold or of the reserves that were in the bank, But then through policy and through scamming, all of that was pretty much erased, and we were just left with this fake form of money that over the last 50 years is slowly being uncovered as a massive scam. Bitcoin is introduced as basically digital coinage, and peer-to-peer transaction has now been able to be resurfaced. So why wouldn't I go back to the most sound form of money, cut out the middleman? And if there is a middleman, hopefully there's not 50 of them. It's okay. Somebody's building tech. I'm okay paying them a swap fee, a little percentage fee. There's no issue there whatsoever because there's people still working. But I want to get rid of as many people from point A to point B, and crypto just happens to be the path of least resistance. So now money, which is merely just a form of accounting, a store of value, a transfer from point A to point B, is revolutionizing the game.
So it's actually really interesting he says that, right? The middleman stuff, because the middleman was there for a reason, right? For protection, right? You know. But what happened in the last, like, I don't know, since money was invented, the regulatory capture, right? Like banks, whoever, not middleman, connected people, they captured the process and they installed taxes, right? And they installed processors, right? So we are ended up with an extremely bloated and corrupt financial system that rewards incumbents, right? And taxes the users, you know? So this is why, like, peer-to-peer is important, you know?
Because as soon as you give the trust to someone else, they will take advantage of it. It's kind of in the human nature, right?
That's why you have to trust the code, and you have to trust open source, and not, you know, these 4,000, 5,000 pieces of paperwork that are sitting there that nobody's going to read about how policy is supposed to work.
Every week, I sit down with the biggest builders, investors, and traders in the crypto industry for a 2 hours long conversation on my podcast, When Shift Happens. I had most of the biggest people in the crypto space in this studio. Arthur Hayes, Jordi Alexander, Ben Zhao from Bybit, Meow from Jupiter, Luke Belmar, Luca Netz, Schioni from Monad, Guy from Athena, and the list goes on and on. Every podcast is recorded in studio and goes into my guests' life, childhood, anxieties, and biggest struggles, as well as successes, which enables me to build a very close relationship with each and every one of them. This, in turn, allows me to get the best alpha and private deals directly from the big builders before anyone else. Today, I'm announcing that I've teamed up with SwissBorg, the largest European exchange, to bring you the best alpha deals directly from the best builders and investors in the crypto space. We're doing this through an exclusive investment club called the Kevin SwissBorg Investment Club, which is accessible only via the SwissBorg app. What can you expect in the Kevin SwissBorg Investment Club? Exclusive access to only the best alpha from the best builders in the space before anyone else, and exclusive private deals that are filtered by the SwissBorg investment team and that are sourced directly from my behind-the-doors conversations with the crypto kings and queens. I have to say, this is not about random projects to buy or trade every day, but rather to focus on a few key projects, airdrops, and deals that can really move the needle and help you master the crypto game over the next 5 years, not 5 weeks. If getting the best alpha from the biggest builders in the space before anyone else and accessing some of the best private deals in the space sounds like something that would add great value to your investment journey, you can check the first link in the description down below. And now back to today's episode.
So back to your question that you asked yourself, and that makes so much sense. Where's the money going? Where did the money go? And we can both basically talk about why Bitcoin exists and why it makes sense. Why is the fiat? I mean, how does the fiat system work? Which will explain where the money comes from and where the money goes when there is a crisis, right? Because the money goes somewhere, right? And then why Bitcoin and crypto make so much sense.
I think the number one thing to understand is that money is not a thing, right? Like where did you grow up? Switzerland.
Switzerland.
What's the currency going up? What's the currency going up? Currency.
Swiss franc.
Singapore dollar, right? Or US dollar, right? When you grow up in the country, right, they do not teach you that the one Singapore dollar is not a thing, right? It is a trust. When people trust the dollar, it is a thing. It has value. The value of the dollar comes from trust, right? Now, so similarly, right, Swiss too, right? We will never taught, right, to question the value of the dollar.
Especially
Never.
not in Switzerland, I would say. In Switzerland, it's, the strongest currency on earth when you're Swiss. Everybody, I think there is a home bias for everyone, right? But in Switzerland, especially because it's kind of neutral, and so obviously you will never question anything.
Never question anything, right? And it's funny because it's only in times of desperation, right? Like the Zimbabwe dollar or whatever, right? Or the Venezuelan dollar, then people start questioning, right? But in most cases, we don't question. But it's funny because so in essence, we were never ever taught to question how money works, how money gets created, right? And that's why crypto is amazing, because Bitcoin was the first. Like, imagine 300 years ago, right? You tried to start a currency. You went on stage, you say, hey guys, I want to do my own money. Man, they'll probably shoot you or something, kill you, right? But Bitcoin represented amazing. It represented the first time someone completely anon, right, could rally the decentralized masses, right, to create a new form of money that could be used by anyone in the world, right? And what it did by doing that was break the orthodoxy of money, right, that the governments had on us, right? Wow, holy shit, money doesn't need to be issued by government, right? And what we are seeing over the last 15 years, whatever not, right, is that we are seeing a slow progression of the process, from Bitcoin to more Bitcoin forks, to Ethereum, to more and more L1s, more and more whatever, now and to more DeFi tokens, and now Memecoins, right? And Memecoins are amazing. Memecoins are great. I love Memecoins because Memecoins represent the ultimate purity of money, right? People hate on me about this, but let me tell you, right? It's like Memecoins are pure money, right? Memecoins, they exist purely on the will of the people. There's no guns, there's no technology, there's nothing. It's people.
There's
right?
no lie.
Yeah.
There's no promise.
It's a symbol, and a community and a price, right? It's the most powerful money, But anyway, I think my point is this. I think we start from a world the world I grew up in, where we had no questions on money. And even the most curious person, right, found it extremely hard. I was very curious, but I found it extremely hard to actually understand what money is. There's just no examples, right? But now we're in a world where, holy shit, if a young person today, they can create money. They can create money themselves. That's amazing. And that's the change you can see. I think it's amazing.
So the question is, what is money?
Where's money?
Yeah.
And where does the money go when it's lost in a crisis?
So would you begin evaluating how money is created, and money is created under the assumption that when the IMF comes in to a third world country and wants to nationalize it or build infrastructure, or there's aid packages. These aren't aid packages, these are loans. So what do you collateralize for that money? You collateralize human energy, you collateralize land, you collateralize nationalized assets, you collateralize all these things. And if you don't pay back your loan, which is impossible for most countries to pay off because they can't print dollars, right?
Yeah.
Then you have to enslave your people, you have to give up your land, and you have to give up your resources. The reason fiat is a scam is simply because you're creating something out of nothing and you're exchanging it for things that are real. And you're adding interest rates, which especially in places like the Middle East is considered haram. And what you're doing is you're stealing from the people through inflation and through the devaluation of currency by printing more money. Now, when you have fixed supply...
Can you just explain this last sentence in a very simple fashion for normal people who don't understand crypto? Because this is so important. Some people call that the hidden tax, right? It's so important to understand.
Energy can neither be created nor destroyed. It can only be transformed. This is natural law. You cannot break natural law. You have to abide by natural law. Money is energy. In its purest form, money is energy. So what happens when you introduce $6 trillion of fiat currency into the system and you inject it? If I was to work a 9-to-5 job... Which
is what happened in 2020 during COVID,
and it's been happening since 1971. So what happens when I introduce $6 trillion of printed money into the system, what I'm doing is I'm devaluing the work of the people that actually had to come in and expend their life force and expend their energy to receive money, because I've just injected false energy. I've just injected fake money. And so when people say, oh, things are getting more expensive, no, it's not that things are getting more expensive. It's that the value of your energy is being reduced and it's being stolen from you. And it's being stolen from you through the hidden tax of the debasement of currency by some white collar, blue tie people that are sitting in some parliament making laws that nobody has agreed upon.
Is it a parliament or is it some room somewhere?
It doesn't matter. It's happening all over the place in every single country.
So actually to jump on that, right? It's like I think the core idea here, right, is that money is energy, right? Money is energy, right? When there's a lot, when you have a lot of when you have a lot of energy, right, gets consolidated into a certain form of money, right? The value of the money rises. Right, you can see the meme coins, right?
Absolutely.
You know, when there's a lot, when the community comes together, right, and they're cohesive, they're tight, the energy of the community forms the value of the money, right? And it's exponential, right? Because the value of the money increases exponentially according to energy, right? But then what happens when the community lose faith, right? Or as what Luke was saying and stuff, abuses the value, the energy, right? It's like before sufficient energy is inputted, right? They start printing more money. Right? What happens? The value goes down, right? So I feel like that is actually what I think the whole thing is, right? Like if you understand money, so that's actually something that me and Luke is working on, right? The idea of theory of money is actually energy, right? And for me, I think that's actually the most accurate way to think of money, right? Whether it's fiat, meme coins, or Bitcoin, or whatever not, right? Money can only be created if a sufficient and the appropriate amount of energy is infused into that money system. You know, right? And if you print a lot of money, but without the infusion of energy, the money goes to shit.
Yes.
You know? Yeah, that's the main thing.
And that's the first part. The second part is you look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin, in order to mine a Bitcoin, you require a fixed amount of energy in order for that Bitcoin to be mined. Therefore, the value of Bitcoin is in direct proportion to the amount of energy expended to mine it. If you look at fiat, it's just a couple keyboard strokes, click enter, and money appears. We consider gold, right? And why did gold have value back in the day, or why does it still have value? Why did salt have value back in the day? Why did people go to war for salt? It's because it required energy and input of massive amounts of effort in order for that to be produced. So now you see gold, for example, like you see just all over the place. But can you quantify the amount of effort and energy that is required to extract that gold, to refine that gold? No. You can't really quantify that, nor can you quantify how much gold actually exists. Not only that, but now through ETFs, now through basic manipulation that's taking place with the banks, you find yourself in a situation where even gold is being manipulated and regulated because they consider it a store of value, but in fact, it's all being managed by supply and demand controls from the big banks. So even now, gold can't be trusted as a pure form of money because we don't know how much gold exists. We don't. And we've introduced ETFs, which have basically manipulated the value of the gold. So now digital currencies, through this digital gold rush, are becoming not only a new opportunity, they are becoming the norm.
So actually, two things that are important to add on to what Luke is saying, right? I think, first of all, is that I think that's actually one thing I'm worried about Bitcoin ETFs, you know, right? People think that Bitcoin ETF is good, but it's not really good. Think about it, right? If the whole world owns a Bitcoin, right, but they own it through an ETF, who controls the Bitcoin?
Yeah.
Not you, bro. Not you, bro. Damn, the same old people control the world today, right? It's not cool, right? That's the first thing.
What's the likelihood of this happening? If you look at Bitcoin ETF numbers in the last couple of, 2-3 months.
No, that's actually why we need to accelerate decentralization of finance, right? We need to educate more and more people about ownership of crypto, right? That's why the whole thing's so important, right? But one thing very important. So back to what Luke is saying, right? It's like there's no accountability, right? If the government today was, I need money, I'm going to print the money, right? Who are they accountable to? No one's accountable. They're not really accountable to anyone, right? Now, and what they do is, and remember, when they print the money, where does the money go? To the people, it goes to whoever they want it to go to, right? And seriously, who takes the big cut of that money, right? And I don't name names, but we all know who gets it in the end, right? So that's a problem because we create in a world where governments are able to print money, right? And actually give it to whoever they want, and there's no accountability whatsoever, right? And then people just see the inflation price going up, Right? It's crazy, you know?
Yeah, I think to really explain extremely simply what we talked about for like maybe 5 to 10 minutes, it's for normal people who are working and basically life is hard, right? Everything is very
Yeah,
expensive.
crazy.
People don't earn much. So basically there's a concept called, it's talked about by Raoul Pal, and he explains that very simply, wage deflation, right? Which basically means everything is becoming more expensive while your salary is not keeping up, right? Why is everything becoming more expensive? Because every time there is a crisis or a war or something to finance, government print money, which means
Increase taxes and pay money. That's all. Sorry, go on.
increase taxes.
But even taxes are an illusion because here's the thing.
That's an interesting point.
The taxes are an illusion because
Precisely.
And the reason why Bitcoin is in decentralized finance is peace versus a currency that emits war is because
Yes.
back in the day, if I was a king or if I was a monarch,
Yes.
my ability to go and conquer a land was in direct proportion to my treasury. Today, I don't have to have a treasury. I can just borrow from the future.
Yep.
Through printing of money and finance anything that I want.
Anything.
So-
Sorry, I have to say this. It's very important. It's like today, right? Because finance is the ultimate allocation of resources, right? You know, finance decides what happens and what gets attention, right? So what happens is that in today's extremely centralized financial environment, an extremely small group of people controls the global agenda. You know, they decide what wars to fight, what big buildings to build, what cathedrals to build, right? The people doesn't care, doesn't have no choice in it. It's actually not good at all, you know. And whereas in decentralized money, right? Now, in decentralized money, there's actually way more accountability. Okay, like for example, like if you have a project, you have a token, right? Everyone, that's actually you're accountable to the community, right? About how the token gets minted, what it gets used, and everything, right? It's actually a competitive ballgame. I think what decentralized money allowed it to do is that it allows the community, right, to be directly involved, you know, in the creation of the money. You know, that's actually very important. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, as you probably know, we are teaming up with Astar Network on this show. Astar Network is a decentralized blockchain platform that aims to bring billions of people into Web3. And the Astar team has a very specific strategy to make this happen, to partner with the biggest conglomerates in Web2 and help them onboard their customers into our world, the Web3 world. If you want to check out for yourself, I invite you to watch the Candid podcast I recorded with Sota Watanabe, the founder of Startail Labs and Astar Network. And please, 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 if you enjoy this show, hit the like button, leave a comment in the comment section, and subscribe to this channel. The more subscribers, the better the guests. Thank you so much for your help. And now on to today's episode.
Regarding the taxes, there is a sort of meme, but that's not really a meme, which says, hey, if every time I want to finance something, the government, I can just print money, why do people, pay taxes?
Illusion.
It's the illusion that we fund governments.
Yes.
And it's just simply not the case. Taxes are just another form of theft to keep the small man from revolting. That's all it is. You look at 66% capital gains tax now in China, and I don't use that lightly, China for an absolute fact. And it's very much adopting the policy that it doesn't matter what you own. It doesn't matter how hard you work. The government owns the means of production, and
Yes.
they own your energy input and they own your energy output. And all it is a form of control that people have bowed down to. And the less resources you have, the more malnourished your society is, the more distracted your society is, the harder it is for you to fight against the theft that's taking place.
It's also really interesting because so you asked about moments that changed me earlier, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, it was actually a very interesting moment because it was I was in the US previously, right? And at some point I saw the news about like the bombings, you know, the drone bombings in the Middle East, right? I was like, holy shit, that's where my tax money is going to. Holy shit! Like you pay like 50% taxes or whatever not, depending on the bracket, and I don't control that shit, right? My money is being used, right, to bomb, you know, like children in the Middle East. I mean, I know it's a political statement, right? But I feel quite strongly about that, right? And I don't like war, you know, I don't like it, right? But I have no agenda in that, right? So I feel like the whole taxes thing is actually really interesting because, and remember, for most 95 people, right, they don't even see that, right? They just take it before they even see the paycheck. That's very important. Okay, before they even see the paycheck. Okay, so basically, it's a very strong statement, right? Now, what are we saying? Your energy, your work doesn't belong to you, belongs to us, and we decide how to use it, right? Yeah, and I think that's a problem, you know. Yeah, and then, so taxes is actually a way to actually make the people under illusion that the government, they are funding government, but the reality is that the government can do what they want. That's how it works.
So what's the answer? And so by that I mean, again, to make it extremely like simple for people to understand, maybe a key question is, why do people work? People work to one day, obviously people work because you want to be stimulated, you want to have goals, etc. But the reason why people work is to one day potentially retire, right? What does retirement mean? Retirement means I accumulate enough assets so that one day the interests, right, or the return I get on these assets can cover my life costs, right?
Good old days.
The problem with what we're talking right here is, if my wage doesn't increase because of wage deflation, right? My wage doesn't increase at the same pace as money is being printed. The cost for me to acquire all these assets that are supposed to give me this return so I can retire one day becomes out of reach. Yep. Meaning I need to work forever, right? And so
that's what they want you to do. They want you to work forever, because the elites do not quantify things in units of dollars. They do not quantify things in units of money, because they understand that money is simply an illusion. They quantify things in human energy, because human energy is what creates things. Human energies is what creates civilizations, creates buildings, creates societies. So they measure things in proportion to human energy. That's why they create fiat. It's the greatest illusion of all time. Shout out to the guys that created fiat. Geniuses, bro. Geniuses. Like, I'm not going to hate the game. Like, these guys finessed the entire world. And they created this thing out of illusion. And they said, okay, because back in the day, let's say we're in Egypt a couple thousand years ago. In order for somebody to build a pyramid, I would have to go pillage a village, go to another society, conquer them, bring them over as slaves, and make them work. We can even take the United States in the 1900s, even the 1800s, and when you had these cotton fields and these cotton farms, they would basically have to force the slaves into working. But that means your slaves are malnourished. That means they might be complaining. There might be dissidents. And instead of being like, let me crack a whip over their back, let me just create this false reality. Let me lie to them and make them work willingly for the next 70 years, assuming that in some way, shape, or form, they're going to have enough to retire. We talk about the peasants in the 14th century, when you had the feudal lords and the peasants. The peasants were more peasants than the peasants were back in the day. The peasants only worked about 140 days out of the year. The rest of the year, they kind of fucked off and did whatever they want. Today, people work 50 weeks out of 52 weeks for the next 60 years, thinking that that's the norm, thinking that that's the standard. If you were in, let's say, a cycle of 400 years of slavery, and you were born in year 212 of that 400-year cycle of slavery, you would have no concept of what freedom is. You'd have no understanding of what it means to be free, autonomous, working for yourself, building your own ecosystem, building your own society, self-sustained with your own food. You would have no premise or understanding of freedom. That's where we are today. Fiat has created an illusion, what we call the infinite Tsukuyomi, right? Yep. It's a concept from Naruto. It was just really funny, which is the fact that you feel like you're living in a utopia, but when you dissect everything, you realize that you're just a glorified slave with a couple things. Yeah, you might have Netflix, you might have a couple things here and there, but when it's all said and done, you're not working for yourself. You're working for somebody else.
So it's actually a really, really important point, right? It's like, so I have so many well-educated and well-to-do friends in America. And dude, I'm telling you, they're terrified, man. They're terrified to break out of the infinite Tsuminaki. Why? Healthcare, insurance, right? And loans, right? We have created this system, right, where people wouldn't even dare to question, you know? And we're talking about, and these are well-educated, extremely smart, extremely quote-unquote societal successful people, right? They're terrified. I'm telling you, they're terrified. They're terrified of losing their jobs. Right? Because the moment they lose their job, no healthcare, right? Everything and stuff, and dude, the healthcare system kills you, bro. It's amazing, right? So I feel like we have created this system, right? Whereby people are really deadly afraid, right? To break out of that, infinite system. You know, I think it's actually a big problem. Yeah. So I feel like, and yeah, I think what's actually really, really, really important here is that we give people a way, right, to help them understand that, okay, it's all about freedom. And how do they gain their freedom back? Yeah. Because in every society, right, whether it's slavery, colonialism, right? Actually, guys, what's really interesting here, right, is that if you study how the colonial masters, right, kept their rule over India, over Singapore, over Malaysia, right? It's super interesting. They have all kinds of ways to create like social status, right? Making you feel really good about yourself, making you feel really horrible if you don't abide by their rules, right? Like, amazing, like so many ways for you to feel like a terrible, horrible, miserable human being, you know, if you don't follow their ways.
Do you want to give some examples of that and some examples of how people are made feel bad today by not following the rules?
I mean, for example, this is so personal to me, bro. I grew up in Singapore, right? And Singapore is an English colony, right? And there was one thing, Lee Kuan Yew had said this really great thing in the book, right? It's like his grandfather hated everything Asian. Hated it, right? Because his grandfather is basically, I think, his grandfather is like basically worked under the British administrator, right? And he was heavily rewarded, right, for that, his good life and everything, right? But as part of that training, right, you know, he was like, everything about Asian culture sucks, right? Everything about the British is great, right? And he taught that downwards, you know. So imagine a system, right, whereby the entire culture, generation of people, right? Imagine this, an entire generation of people, right, being brainwashed to go like that system is great. If I follow that system, I get status, I get this, I get that and stuff, I get everything. If I follow the other culture, right, I get nothing. I'm looked down upon. I'm terrible. I'm miserable. And that happens for generations, bro. Right? You know what I'm saying? It is quite personal for me.
Another example, finance is the language of the elite.
Yeah.
Finance is the language of the elite. You can compare finance to, or banks or governments today to the time and era where you had the Holy Roman Empire. And the Holy Roman Empire was merely the utilization of religion as a weapon for mass control. But John Wycliffe, and I think it was the year 1611, King James translates the Bible into English. But before that, the peasants had to go to the church in order to be able to receive salvation or in order to be able to communicate with God, because back then, the Bible, right, was the language of the elite. Today, finance is very much a strange language for the average person, for the average individual. It's very much like Latin. But it's very interesting because today we have the middleman, which is the bank. Back in the day, we had the middleman, which was the Pope. And anytime that you want to get rid of the middleman gets angry. And the middleman will go to war to defend their middleman status, which is power. So you have John Wycliffe introduce the printing press, technology, which is the ability to rip apart the illusion and give people the necessary tools and information to understand that no middleman is necessary. So we go in 1611, the King James Bible gets translated into English, then the printing press gets introduced, so now it gets dispersed, and now you no longer need the church. Mm-hmm. So the Holy Roman Empire is gone. So what does the Holy Roman Empire do now? Well, now we have to force people, right? Force people through wars, through the Crusades, through the invasion of the Americas. By force, we're going to convert them. And that's what we're seeing today. We're seeing force trying to be used as a dominant factor for control. It's a pretty crazy time that we live in, but there's a lot of work to be done, and it all comes down to, one, educating individuals, showing them that the illusion is there, and three, is the leaders have to have very little to lose.
Yep.
Very little to lose, which is a life of low consumerism, because I have nothing dangling over my head that you can take, because I'm not for sale. Mm. So you can't take my house, you can't take my cars. The only thing you can take is my life. Go for it. I don't care. But it's the risk that one has to take in order to achieve freedom. So when you have nothing to lose and everything to gain, you're a very dangerous person.
So that's actually back to that actually answers the question that he was asking at the end, right? How do they make you feel bad? Okay, these days, right? Oh, you don't have a house. Oh, you don't stay in this fancy place. Oh, you drive a Toyota. Oh, I can't date someone who drives something, right? Oh, what's your job? Oh, you work in this company, right? Oh, you don't have a job. No, seriously, I'm telling you, right? The amount of social stress, right?
Yeah.
And you feel as someone who is a quote unquote not successful in life is miserable, especially for guys.
What's the definition
Right.
what's the definition of success for males today by the society? And why does it make no sense?
It's not because it doesn't give you freedom, bro. Guys, the problem with today's expectation of, especially for guys, is that you don't get freedom. You know, like you don't have freedom because you're trapped into always needing to be rich, needing to be successful. Okay, so I take it back. The problem is this: you're not even trying to be successful. You're trying to look successful.
And you're trying to adopt somebody else's definition of success.
Precisely, that's a really important point, right? It's like you and remember, like traditional society, right? Oh, where do you live? In like New York, for example, right? You get so much status. If you say, "Hi, I work in Goldman Sachs," ooh, you get money, you get opportunity, you get parties, you get laid, right? All that shit, right? You know. And what if you?
Oh, you work at Wall Street?
Oh, wow, sexy. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how it works, right? And so
It's all social constructs.
Precisely. Right. So you feel really bad. I'm telling you, it's like society makes you feel really bad. So what you do is that you have no choice, but you will conform to society, and that's where you fall into those what do you call it?
The infinite Tsukuyomi, the infinite illusion.
Suku.
So the premise is now is one, redefining success,
That's what my next question.
which is what I call the symphony of success. What does success sound like to you?
Freedom.
What does success sound like to you? What is the ultimate?
Freedom.
What is the ultimate
Freedom.
form of success?
Freedom.
Your ability to do whatever you want to do, whenever you want to do it,
Freedom.
however you want to do it.
Freedom.
Pavel from Telegram, he did an interview recently with Tucker Carlson, and he said,
Yeah, I saw that.
I own no yachts. The dude's probably a multi-billionaire. I own no houses. I own no supercars. It's not my lifestyle. I'm in the pursuit of freedom. That's it. Because he understands what the ultimate form of success is, which is, it doesn't matter what you have if you can't really do anything. Imagine being in a prison cell with a nice, perfect. You can be in a prison cell with a Lamborghini. You can be in a prison cell with a nice couch, with air conditioning. You're still in prison because you're still bound to certain rules and to certain things that people are telling you define you. So one, it's breaking the stigma of what it means to become successful. Two is understanding that who gives a fuck what other people think, even though it may be tough. Who gives a fuck? And then three is understanding that you're going to have to sacrifice something in order to achieve freedom. Freedom is not free. Freedom is not free. You're going to have to fight for it. And if you're not willing to fight for it, you'll be a slave for the rest of your motherfucking life. And you better deal with it.
So true.
So we're talking about crypto today, right? Because it plays a huge role in that. And for me, it's very simplistically, it's two aspects. The first one is to be allowed to do whatever you want with your money, right? Not even talking about investment, talking about I own my money and I can do whatever I want with it, right? The second one is because there's definitely a wealth building opportunity. And when I talk about wealth, obviously I don't mean to buy Lambos and Pateks and all that stuff, but like building a certain amount of wealth plus being able to live simply is the key to freedom, or one of them, right?
Can I share something here real quick? I feel like the reason why I think we're in this room together, right? Both talking about both the freedom and society and crypto, right? Is because I do think there's actually a very big correlation. You know, I feel like I would say that the one of the best attributes that allow me to kind of survive hard times, right, is because I was actually very free of consumerism, right? You know, like in a lot of people hear me out, right? Very important. It's about in bull markets, right? The number one tendency for people to do is to buy stuff.
Absolutely.
Right? Buy houses, buy big cars, and buy everything, right? And whether they buy it with cash or liquid or with debt, doesn't matter, right? They become beholden to a certain lifestyle, a more important image, right? The moment, okay guys, look at me, right? The moment you show up at a party driving a Ferrari, you can't go back. You can't go back. You can't even take Uber anymore, right?
The moment you fly business or first, you can't go back.
Yeah.
But that's
the,
true.
the moment you enjoy the status of like going first in line, you go peasant class, right? So I feel like what's actually really important here, right, about freedom is this, right? Now, crypto is very dangerous too, because crypto is the most up and down thing I ever see, right? So what I've seen a lot of examples, right, is that people actually lose their freedom, right, because they become rich, right? And then they start forgetting what they were. You know what I'm saying? Right? And they get beholden. Right? So yes, crypto is possible to be free, right? And I can go into that later, right? But before we go on that, I just want to say there's a very big problem too, because crypto does actually mean you're free, right? Your fundamental values determine if you're free, right? Are you beholden to society? Because again, think about it, right? If I get rich off crypto and I start buying all kind of stuff, and you can argue, if you look at the three main characters that failed, right, last cycle, SBF, Do Kwon, and Shuju, right? They all did that. They all fell into the trap of power, money, and status, right? They fell into that trap, and they started optimizing for those things: power, status, and money. Right? Think about it, right? Those guys, the reason why they died and failed is that in the last cycle at their top, right? They didn't go, hey, what's good for the world? They knew that. They started optimizing for their personal money, status, and power. And then that's where it went wrong, man. That's where everything went wrong, So I think that's actually one thing I want to do to clarify, right? So it's like, what's actually really important here is, okay, crypto itself doesn't make you free. Your values make you free.
That's so important.
Luke knows that, right? Luke knows that very well.
That's so important.
When you begin to evaluate consumerism, you understand the illusion that it is. How many cars can you sit in at once? One. How many beds can you sleep in at once? One. So why the fuck would I have 50 cars? Okay, perfect. If I have a supercar that appreciates in value and it's a collectible, I completely understand it. But the intent, the reason as to why you do something is really important. I know so many rich guys in crypto, they're a bunch of fucking losers, dude. They're losers because all they have is money. And if money's all you have nothing.
Which makes me think about the question one of my good friends asked me the other day. He was like, essentially about this consumerism thing. He lives in Dubai, right? So it's all about consumerism here. He's like, Kevin, why are you doing all that stuff if it's not for the money? And people don't even realize you have money, right? So what's your answer to someone who tells you, why do you wear a fucking Zara t-shirt and some Ons if you made millions or billions of dollars? What do they not understand?
Well, what people don't seem to understand is that nobody gives a fuck about you. Like when you're walking down the mall and you see all these people dressed with all these fucking $1 million watches, $2,000 shoes. No, you've just fallen for the illusion that LVMH sold you of what it means to be successful. Nobody cares because everybody has a complex life with their own problems, their own difficulties, their own challenges. The last thing I'm going to be worried about is impressing some random person that doesn't really even care about me, let alone when I die. None of these motherfuckers are going to my funeral. None of these people are going to take care of my mom or my family. So why would I care about what they have to think? News check. Nobody cares. Reality check. Nobody cares about your problems. Nobody cares about what you wear. Nobody cares about what you think. And if you're attracting a certain audience, that all they're looking at is consumerism, well, that's not the type of audience that I'm trying to appeal to. I'm trying to appeal to the people that actually understand that human values, integrity, character, desire for freedom, and the pursuit of happiness is the key to a successful life, not what you have or what you wear or who you are. Dude, I know so many people that have nothing, and at the same time, they have everything. I know so many people that have everything, and you look at them and they're just miserable. I don't want that. I'm not falling for that illusion. And you have the temptation, like we were talking in the car on the way here. And it's not that we don't enjoy nice things. Like, dude, we'll go and spend $1,000 on dinner. Like, we'll go and rent out a Rolls Royce. We'll go and buy $100,000 watch. But that doesn't define me. that doesn't, my character's not involved with these things. I, of course, have been working for a decade, so I'm going to enjoy things in life. Absolutely. Even the fact that we have an iPhone, this is a luxury, right? This is a luxury. This is something that is in some way, shape, or form consumeristic. But it also comes down to, does this thing define you? So is your character, why you buy this, involved into your character as an individual, or are you utilizing it as a tool? That's all.
So just to double down on that real quick, right? Is that I think I don't want to sound hypocritical here, right? I think if I do well, I like to celebrate successes, right? I like to celebrate nice things and go for nice experiences, right? For sure, 100%, right? If I go on a date, I want to have a nice dinner, right? For sure, right? But the question becomes like, do you get defined by those things? Like, are you okay if you don't have those things? You know what I'm saying? Right? I feel like that's actually the main thing, because the moment I need to fly a certain way, eat a certain way, right? Then I lose myself. I get defined by that. That's actually why it's very important for me. Is that even if sometimes you have nice things, you must always remember, like, simple. You can always survive no matter what. Yeah.
What's the best way to get to that state of mind? Is it getting it all, making all the mistakes, losing it all, getting humbled, and then be like, okay, now I understand.
Or just
right?
or just stack up your resources and don't be a person that expends them. Because when people look at money, when you go to the store and you buy something, you're not buying it with money. You're buying it with the amount of time and energy that it took you to make that money. So you need to be very careful that you're not expending the amount of time and energy that you input to receive a resource into the illusion of consumerism. Stack up these things to achieve freedom. Stack up these things to help your family. Stack up these things to help society. Don't stack them up to make somebody else's dream a reality. Because when you're buying that Louis Vuitton belt, when you're buying those Gucci shoes, you're making somebody else's dream a reality. That's all it is. They just sold you on an illusion. The goal is to take the energy, right, that you've been able to create, the money, the energy, and then utilize it to create the life of your dreams instead of just expending it left, right, and center. Because the goal is to take the energy that you've been able to amass, and we quantify it in dollars, in units, and utilize it towards achieving freedom, as opposed to just letting it leak here and there. And ultimately, you just end up being a bigger rat in the race.
So I think what Luke was saying about not being a rat in the race is very important. I'll be honest, man. It's like, I've been crypto for a while now, and there's cycles, right? And some cycles I do well, some not do well, right? I think what really anchors me is, I have no assets, by the way. I have no assets. I think the only thing I bought in the last 5 years or anything is like a reasonable, a nice place for my parents. That's all, right?
For your parents?
Yeah, for parents. Yeah, it's not that much, right? But I think and then for me and stuff, I think I actually really try to live as basic as I can, right? Don't get me wrong. As I said, you enjoy when you do. Right, no, but overall, I live very basic, right? Now, I think it's very important, because living in a very basic way, right? And Luke gives some shit for that sometimes, right? But I think it's like you get reminded that, cool, I don't need this. I mean, when you go and eat in hawker center in Singapore, right? For like $5, you're like, oh, okay, cool, I can survive on that, right? When you when you go,
I take him to yakiniku every time we go out, spend $500. He's like, oh, this is nice.
Yeah, then I'm like, I'm uncomfortable. Like, okay, this is nice, right? Yeah, but I think being able to both like alternate between enjoying things, but also like, okay, I can do this, fine. And I mean, Luke likes nice things, but if he needs to, $5 hawker center, no problem, he can make it easy. And that's the key, right? Yeah. He can survive, doesn't matter.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to take a short moment to introduce our partner, Mantle, who helps us make this show possible. Mantle was created to hyperscale the Ethereum network with what we call a layer 2 that helps users like you and me transact much faster and at a fraction of the cost of the Ethereum network. Mantle has over $2 billion in total value locked, has a mega treasury of $3.7 billion in Bitcoin, ETH, and stablecoins, and has the largest eco fund of the industry with more than $200 million to invest into new projects that want to join the Mantle ecosystem. The team behind Mantle are extremely smart people who I personally trust with some of my money and who I personally know outside of crypto. We actually had Ignace Ternus and Jordi Alexander on this podcast, who both are key figures in the Mantle ecosystem. So I invite you to watch these two very candid and in-depth conversations to develop your own opinion. And please, 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 if you enjoy this show, hit the like button, leave a comment in the comment section, and subscribe to this channel. The more subscribers, the better the guests. Thank you so much for your help. And now on to today's episode.
Survival. So I think we understand the kind of basic theory here. So let's try to get into some like more
Concrete details.
concrete stuff, right?
Okay,
For
let's do
people,
it.
because they're like, oh man, like, okay, I get it, but now what? What the fuck do I do, right? I'm 18 or
so many
21 or
stories.
24. Like, I want to know what to do. So maybe one smart way or interesting way to start that is, as you said, there is cycles in crypto, right?
Yeah, cycles, yeah.
We've all been through multiple cycles and we've all made a lot of mistakes. So maybe we can go through, and everyone who starts will make mistakes because that's how you learn, right?
Even now, we talk some mistakes every day, yeah.
Maybe we can go through a few key things that people should really, and we know they're not going to listen, right? Because everybody has their ego and I'm not like, but maybe you can go through, first 1-2 cycle and say, had I known what I know today, I would have done things in a different fashion. And often it's just like in a much simpler fashion. And that's what works, right? Versus all the noise that you see online.
Crypto and the cryptocurrency space asymmetrically rewards builders more than any other space in the world. 1. 2. Automation and the utilization of AI gives you the possibility and the ability to make money without you having to input work or input hours on a consistent basis. For the people listening that want to live a better life, that want to become richer, that want to become wealthier, that want to become more successful, start utilizing the tools and the resources to build things of value. You get paid in proportion to the difficulty of the problems that you solve. If you're broke, chances are you're not solving any problems. If you're poor, chances are that the problems that you're solving might be very small. The reason the person at McDonald's gets paid $12 an hour, it's not because they're not a person of value. It's because the value that they're providing in the marketplace is not very high. Anybody can flip patties. Anybody can flip patties. So you get paid in proportion to the difficulty of the problems that you solve. You want to put a man on Mars? Well, if you accomplish that, you'll get paid in proportion to solving that difficult problem. So identify a problem in the marketplace, identify a problem that you're able to solve, become the best person able to solve it, understand that whatever it is that you're trying to solve needs to be in high demand because obviously, there has to be supply demand in order for something to have value, and then become the best at doing it, become the best at solving the problem. Most people want to become wealthy out of a shitcoin. They just want to gamble their way to success. Success, in my opinion, needs to be planned, it needs to be calculated. And if you want to have longevity, you need to be able to solve problems on a consistent basis. And I was sitting with the son of the former president of Singapore, last name Ong. And he comes into the studio and we're chopping it up and he looks at me and he's very excited because he's built about 2,000 real estate projects in Malaysia, Thailand, and Singapore. And he looks at me and he says, Luke, you know what? Business is about solving problems. And when you solve problems, that's where profit comes. Most people want profit without solving problems. I'm in the business of solving problems because money is a lagging indicator of success. Money doesn't just show up because what you're doing today works. We've been in this game for how long? He's been in the game for a decade. Now he's understanding and tasting, money and value and able to cut checks and invest tens of millions of dollars into product development. But this is a lagging indicator of doing the right thing over an extended period of time and solving problems over an extended period of time, and the market will reward you.
I think it's can I?
Of course.
I feel like just want to jump in on that real quick and to just continue on that real quick is that man, it's like if there's one thing I would share, right? I think it's so important, right? Is that everyone focuses on the peak, right? You know, I don't like everyone focus on the autumn high, man, or the peak or high success, right? The one thing I learned is no, man, like you want to focus on the bottom, right? You want to focus on the surviving at the bottom, right? Because like the bottom, the bear, the bottom, the depression is where the winners get made, right? You know, right? It's actually really, really important. Like as someone that is like trying to as someone who's trying to kind of like really be in this game, right? Focus on longevity, focus on learning, focus on surviving. Because if you survive long enough, you learn enough, you will win, right? I'll give some context on that, right? Let me give you an example. If you've been to California, right? The California, San Francisco, you know, the sequoia trees, huge ass trees, like fucking massive, right? Right? And then like huge trees, right? And then you can just stand in them even, right? And then and I was reading up about how they did it, right? It's like, so what happens? So every few decades, right, there'll be a big fire, right? And fires are normally bad for trees, right? You know, right? But what does fires do? What does fire do? The fires are great for those big trees. Why? Because number one, they clear out all the junk, all the other small trees and shit, right? They clear out the pests and the insects, right? They clear out the foliage, right? So that more sun can shine through, right? And of course there's less competition for stuff, right? So basically, if you manage to survive, so the trees that manage to survive the forest fire, they do great. They do amazing, right? Keep growing, right? Now, so how do they survive that stuff, right? Now, firstly, so the redwood trees, three things, right? Number one, they're big enough, right? They have enough support and foundation, so when the fire comes, they can survive. The second thing is they have enough moisture in the woods, right? So they don't just get dried out and burn up. And secondly, they're resin, resin, in the wood, right? So that's like the burn, right? I was reading that, I was like, holy fuck, this is like the perfect recipe for crypto. Holy shit, right? This is the answer to crypto, man. It's like, because in crypto, there always can be fires, always. Trust me, guys. Like, no matter how great you think the market is, fuck the super cycle thesis, man. Fuck that shit. That shit is the most toxic and poisonous narrative of all fucking time, man. No, there's always gonna be fires, right? And what you want to do as an individual, as a project, as a person, right, is that you be ready. And how to be ready? Man, the redwood tree. The redwood tree is a great example, right? Number one, you want to be strong support, right? You want to have a lot of support structures, right? Whether it's good, whether it's like you want to whether it's good friends or capital, or good friends who counsel you when you are down, capital to survive, sufficient liquidity, right? Not so much leverage, whatever it is, right? Just make sure you have enough to survive on, right? Now, secondly, the material, the resin, right? You actually want to make sure you work on things that are not too fragile, anti-fragile, right? Now that won't just burn easily. Right now, and thirdly, and the most importantly, is that you need enough liquidity, right, to survive any downturns, right? I was like, so I feel like that's actually the one thing that I would tell anyone working in the space, right? It's like, in bull markets, there's always this rush to try to capitalize, right? You know, yeah, go for it, have fun, learn, like make your money, right? Do your meme coins, whatever, right? But remember,
the fire is coming.
It's long game. And what you want to be ready is like, you want to be ready for one more. So in summary, do not optimize for one cycle. Don't do that shit, right? Optimize for being around for the next 5 cycles, okay? That's critical, I think, you know?
What Meow was telling me is when founders look at token price, they always look at the top of their token price as opposed to looking what is your floor price, what is the base level of your price. That is your price. It's not whether you spiked from $1 to $10 or from $10 to $100. No, what is your floor price? Where is your stability? That is your metric. Your metric isn't your peaks. Your metric is your valleys. And if you can sustain that, you can win the long-term game.
Look at top coins, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, whatever, right? And I was deep in the trenches at Solana, $8, right? I knew exactly what went down, right? There was a strong community and ecosystem faith, including Vitalik, right, who supported Solana at that point, right? And from there, it can grow again, right? Because you know diamond hands, right? Like, guys, how does diamonds get formed? Under pressure, right? is it possible to be a diamond hand if there's no pressure? Nah, no fucking way, right? So basically, when the price goes down, the pressure gets compressed, right? Diamond hands formed, right? So the question is, okay, as a project, right? Can you, as a project, can you be diamond handed? You know, can you build a community of diamond hands? And then, as an individual, as an investor, right? Do you know what you're willing to be diamond hand on, right? Because a lot of people do is right, they buy high, sell low, always, right? You know, right? Always.
Yeah, I mean that's why you look at Pudgy Penguins, and the success that they had is because of the pressure that the community had to go wider.
Precisely.
If it's just up only, right? Then you have no sort of pressure that stabilizes the community, that forms the community. I mean, we go from New York Times to basically almost dead, and it takes 2 years of bear market to build it to be able to sustain. And today it's the best project, the best NFT project in the world, simply because it's been able to survive the pressure over an extended period of time. And the thing is with crypto, the pressure is really fucking intense.
It's fucking intense.
It's really intense.
It's intense, man.
So if you can get through it, then the future looks bright. But you have to be able to sustain it. And if you crack under pressure, then you don't deserve the rewards.
And over here, I just want to say a big thanks to my community, my Jupe community, my cadets. I love you guys, man. I think after the Jupe launch, I mean, I think we built a community over years, the product, but there's no token, right? You know, and obviously in the first month or so after token launch, things were rough, right? We're getting flooded every day. Like all the big influencers are flooding our shit.
I wanted to talk about that actually, because basically we're saying that there's fires in the bear market, right? When it's hard, depression, but there is also fires when things are going really well, right? And which means that there's fires all the time, which means that people, again, look at success in the very wrong fashion, and it's so important. Basically, it makes success much less glamorous to people, which is what they should understand, right? If you want to become really successful, you need to understand that every day is a freaking pain, or almost every day is gonna be pain.
I just to answer a question and to finish my earlier thought, is that I think that's actually where friends are important. You know, friends are really, really important, right? Because pain becomes fun when you do it with friends. You know, right? Seriously, I mean, guys. So I feel like that's actually what I'm very grateful for, because even though the early going of Jupe launch was tough, right? But I'm very grateful, man. I'm so happy to be working through with everybody, right? You know, like my community members who were there every day, right? Who were supportive even when, because there was a lot of people who knew who we were. They worked with us, right? They're part of us. They see how we work. They see how we communicate. They know we're real, so they're there, right? And I'm enormously grateful to them. And that was fun for me, right? Even among all the fun and everything and stuff, but having that support was fun for me, right? And Luke was there. Right from the launch, he was extremely supportive, right? Even when people were fighting us and stuff, and also a lot of other people, right? Super grateful to them, right? And I think so I feel like what's actually really, really important here is to kind of have a core group of friends and community and people who know you and believe in you, right? You know, and you don't betray their trust. You work with them. You know, you communicate with them. You're open with them. You're transparent with them. Right, you know, and then you work together on things. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like that's actually what I think. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't consider us successful, by the way. Just to be clear, okay. I think we built something interesting. A lot's the way to go, right? But I think what we are doing now is that I think we have a chance to build something together with everyone, right? And that's what I'm excited about. You know, yeah.
So we've been talking about building, right? Mostly
building, yeah.
But first, I think what's interesting and important to understand is that not everyone needs to be an entrepreneur building a giga company, right? You can also be successful in your own term by providing value without providing worth of dollar value.
That is building. I think me and Luke takes a very liberal idea of building, right? You know, like I think that traditionally people think of building as like as building a company of your own, whatever, right? No. Building amazing, building value. Like at Jupiter, for example, right? It's like so many problems to solve, right? And then we're always looking for new people to solve new things, right? And there's so much things you can build in. I think Web3 is the most inclusive space to build anything. I think it's amazing. Yeah. So I just clarify real quick. Yeah,
Absolutely.
To go back to wrapping up the point where we're talking about FUD, what's funny to me is the people that do the least are always the ones that want to talk the most. I was in Bali. I had an event for Capital Club there, and I had this man who brings this kid who's about 24 years old. Not a kid, but 24 years old, and he wants to come and check out Capital Club, and he feels entitled. He's a big fat dude, bald, depressed, bad attitude, and he feels like he's entitled to just come into the event because his son paid for it. And I'm like, no, well, you have to pay for your ticket just like everybody else. If not, you can't get in. And he started just talking shit, saying like, Capital Club, this is garbage. Why is somebody going to pay $300 to come and network? Networking isn't how you make money. Networking isn't how you build businesses. And for the first time, I saw what a hater looked like. I saw what a loser that talks on the internet looked like. And I just laughed because I'm like, I don't care about these people's opinion. When that happens often in crypto, there's a lot of opinions. And it usually comes from the bottom. It usually comes from the little gremlin trolls under the bridge that have a lot to say, but when you put them in the action, they can't compete. So for the builders, for the people that are in the trenches, remember that, you're going to get the bullets sent at you, but you also have to remember who's on the other side of the screen. And it usually is somebody who's not worth considering. It's not an opinion that's worth observing. And bro, I look at the best athletes in the world. I look at the best entrepreneurs in the world. They get shit on all the time. You look at the likes of Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo, LeBron James, Michael Jordan. You look at Steve Jobs. You look at Henry Ford. You look at the top entrepreneurs in history. They all got shit on. It's part of the equation. And if you can outstand that pressure and understand that with integrity, you can build dope shit, you don't really have to worry about the opinions and the fear, uncertainty, doubt that is cast upon you by some little bullshit tweet. And oftentimes a lot of builders, they forget the amount of love that they get, and they always focus and they always focus on that 0.00001% shit post
because they're so aggressive.
Yeah. But the love is just so much deeper, and you materialize it through sitting down with your community, like Meow said, listening to them, and then never betraying their trust. And building that out long term.
So to that point, right? It's like I think you can understand FUD in two ways, right? You can understand, you really have to use the FUD properly, okay? Because it's actually really important that you use the FUD and try to understand, is it legit? Is it not true? Is it true? But you take the key things, take the personal out of the FUD. Very, very important. Take the personal out of the FUD. Understand mob psychology, right? Understand misinformation. Understand sometimes it's real information, sometimes it's truth in there, right? So I think what you want to do is just simple, right? So you handle FUD in 3 ways, right? Number one, you 3-step process, okay? For FUD. Number one, no, I'm serious, man. Because I got pretty good at it. Right? Number one, you take the personal of it, right? You do not allow yourself to be destroyed by FUD, right? Very important. And the second thing you do is that you go, hey, all right, is this
just the first? You're saying you don't allow that, but like how concretely do you do that? Do you think you build like with higher testosterone level? Do you do something?
No, you sleep. People, sleep is underrated. I think we all talk about drugs and everything. I think sleep is underrated. Sleep is the best. You see a FUD, go to sleep. I'm not kidding, I'm serious. You see a FUD, go to sleep. Yeah, just wake up in the morning, fine. I'm not kidding, that's the best. I concretely, guys, go to sleep, okay? And then secondly is that you figure out, you learn what is misinformation. Because FUD is often something that happened, someone taking things that are out there, right, and spreading it, right, and miming it, right? So don't get angry. Understand the game. Don't hate the game, right? You can choose to hate on him for doing something, but understand the game. You say, oh, this is how it works. So take that as a lesson to learn, right? If you go into a fight, you get punched in the face. Do you cry about it? No, you don't. What did I do that allowed someone to punch me? Right? You say, because
you always take responsibility.
Great, press right. So second, take responsibility, right? Realize that if you got punched in the face, right, you can cry about him punching you in the face, but the truth is that you let him punch you in the face. So you did something, right? You didn't communicate properly. You were careless, right? Something. right? So that's the second thing you do, right? So you learn that lesson. You got punched, it's painful, take it. Take the fucking lesson. You already got punched, right? Take the fucking lesson, right? And then the third thing you do is that, okay, you talk to the community, right? Because your community gets affected by FUD too, right? They get affected by FUD, right? And then what you want to do is just simple, right? It's that you don't want to do that Do Kwon. Do Kwon handled it wrong, right? Do Kwon basically got his community to bully away the FUD, right? Don't do that, right? Never rally your community to try to block off FUD. No. Address it with them, right? Discuss them with it, right? Go like get on a Twitter space, right? Get on a Discord thing and show them the fucking tweet, right? And say this is what they're saying. This is how I think about it. What do you guys think about it, right? So I feel like then they build trust, right? They build trust, right? But then if you just blanket, you ignore it, or if you ignore it and stuff, or if you ignore it, or if you pretend it doesn't exist, or you try to rally your supporters or your token holders to kind of shoot them, right? Then you are not you're not reacting properly, I think, yeah. And then so I think it's a cycle that I have kind of done, right? And I'm quite comfortable with this cycle, yeah. And last but not least, call Luke, Hey, Luke. No, he was helpful. No, he was helpful. Seriously, I think he knows, man. It's like there was sometimes I got father really, really hard. I was really sad. He reminded me, man. He's like, dude, chill. People love you. I think that was good, man. Thanks, bro. I haven't said thanks yet, but thanks.
You're welcome. And the thing is, at the end of the day, if you're a builder, you need to understand like dopamine, right? And people like new features, people like new products, but they always want to know what's next. Right? They need to know what's next, and they need to know why should they continue with you when there's so many shiny objects out there.
Yeah, seriously,
There's so many shiny objects, right? Because that's what you're competing. You're competing for attention. You're competing for people to stick around in your community. Just like countries compete with keeping people inside of their states, inside of their provinces, as opposed to expating or becoming immigrants and going and traveling somewhere else. So you need to incentivize your people in casting a vision. There's a verse in the Bible that says, "Without vision, people perish." Right? So being able to cast a vision in a way that people understand and people sustain with you long term is extremely important. And that's where leadership comes in. That's where communication comes in. And that's where transparency comes in. If you can master all three of those as a leader, your people will rally with you and they'll stick with you long term. And the longer they stick around with you, it's like cement layers, right? They solidify. The longer they stick around with you, the less incentive they have to go somewhere else, because now it's no longer putting my chips on the table and betting on somebody. It's more a level of relationship that is based off of trust and based off of longevity, which is the name of the game that we've been talking about.
Longevity. I think it's so important to. I think to, how we were talking about how most people optimize for the peak, right? So similarly, a lot of people over optimize for attention, because they. No, work with me. I know it's a controversial opinion, right? Because I think everyone is talking about how important attention is, right? Now, but how about safety? People want to feel safe too, right? Now, for example, if you're a girl, do you always go with the most exciting guy? Yeah, of course, sometimes, right? Right? But it's one safety, but it's one safety too, right? You want to know that he won't do anything to you. Weird. They don't do, right? And so I feel like what's actually really important here is that you kind of like, you kind of focus, you kind of want to let people know what's up, and that's the attention game, right? But also let them feel safe, right? That you're here, you're not going to rock anything, you're there, if there are problems, you'll talk to them, right? And guys, it's not easy. It's not easy. It's not easy to go to a community and go, yeah, it's not great, it's not cool, you know what I'm saying? But I think if you can do that, then over time, I think people feel safe, and there's a security, right? So I think for us, I think it's always about these two things, right? How do we rally attention and provide safety? I think it's like this. Because when people feel safe with you, they will feel much better at promoting you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, everything.
I agree.
Yeah.
Safety.
You talked about many shiny objects, right? Thousands of new coins every day. So obviously it's really hard to, I don't want to say compete with that, but like we have to be objective and know that a lot of the people, if not the majority of the people, are in crypto to make money, right?
Of course.
They're in crypto to make money. And so until now, we talked about being a builder, but we have to talk about being an investor also. Why? Because all of us are also investors.
For sure.
And so probably people will want to do both. So I think again, like we understood on the builder side, you can build a project or be part of a project, right? As an investor, probably one of the most important things to understand is that you don't want to get wrecked. Because if you don't have chip like to play the game, basically you can't play the game the next time, right? So how would you advise people to construct a crypto portfolio, not to optimize for the 1000x, but just to survive? Because what we've been talking about since the beginning is survival, right?
One, you need to bet on teams. You can't bet on what you see going up on CoinGecko. When I started buying BNB in 2018 for $2, I was betting on CZ. When I bought PancakeSwap in 2020, after doing Clubhouse with CZ and him talking about the PancakeSwap team, you bet on builders, you bet on people, because people are the ones that carry projects. 1, 2, you need to bet on narratives and trends. You do not want to be out here in a place that has no attention and no liquidity. So that's the first part. The second part is understanding where a certain project is in their cycle. Are they in their inception stage? Are they in the area where it's just getting built? Are they already listed on Binance, which tends to signal a top, or tends to signal a area of less opportunity? And realizing how venture capital works, how raising money works inside of crypto projects, and how token allocations take place, and realizing that once projects usually hit big listings, that's when token unlocks take place. That's when big VCs dump on your ass. And the goal is to not get wrecked. You need to be as far as close to the builders as possible, as early on as the stage as possible, and betting on those individuals. I very rarely will go out and place a token allocation on something that's already listed on CoinMarketCap. Why? Because it's probably not at its inception stage. The risk is a lot higher. And with crypto, your portfolio can get nuked 50% in 2 days, right? So my objective is I need to find low risk, high reward opportunities, which means low market cap, quality teams, and teams that are building upon a strong narrative and a strong trend that will inject liquidity in order for my portfolio to continue to perform well. And most people, they are out here buying when everybody else is buying. They're out here buying in the bull market. They're out here buying when the taxi driver's, checking his stock portfolio, his crypto portfolio while he's driving, as opposed to buying when the blood is out and buying when the candles are green and pumped. And buying out of FOMO tends to be a recipe for disaster. And Warren Buffett said it best, but he talked about it in the stock market. I think it applies to investing in general, is that the concept of investing, and if you want to win in the investment game, you need to understand patience, because wealth is usually transferred from the impatient to the patient. And if you build with long-term people, then there's a high probability of success. That's why the people that get wrecked, you usually sit down with them and you ask them, what do you have on your portfolio? Well, what do you know about this token? What's the utility behind it? Oh, there's something that's worth $300 million market cap. Well, how much revenue do they generate? Oh, $5,000. That seems like a price discrepancy right there between the market cap and the actual value proposition of the project. I think these are a couple of things that people need to be looking at, and understanding that the markets will be here forever. They're not going anywhere. There's always more opportunity. You don't have to chase opportunity. You need to attract opportunity by positioning yourself in the right rooms.
That's a key element. Actually, Jordi Alexander, he was on the podcast, and one of the things he was saying is, in crypto, there is so many opportunities that the only thing you have to do is to say no to opportunities when it feels like they're too late. And because there's going to be so many others, your only job is not, hey, I need to find all the best opportunities. I need to find a few ones early enough so I don't get wrecked, right? And if I feel that I'm too late, I just say no, because there's going to be others, right?
And the last part with that is, all it takes to build a fantastic portfolio is a few well-calculated bets. You don't need 1,000 trades. You don't need to be out here day trading on 1-minute charts. You're going to get fucking wrecked. You're trading against algorithms. You're trading against quants. You're trading against people that are market makers. You're trading against people that have order books and they can see the flows. That's a very dangerous game. I want to play a couple high sizable bets with winning teams, Jupiter, for example, with winning builders, with people that I trust. And before I allocated multi-7-figure play with Jupiter, my entire premise was I want to sit down with the homie. I want to see what his vision is. I want to see what he thinks. He's never talked to me about price. He's never talked to me about anything except how many users he wants to onboard in crypto. And that's the mission and rally that I'm able to put forth. Now, I did the same thing with Luca Nets and Pudgy Penguins, and I mentioned this to you. The name of the game is coming in and getting involved with projects and teams when the blood is in the streets, when everybody's fighting it, when everybody is running for the door. That's when you want to find the winning teams and the people that have a long-term vision and rallying behind them, sticking behind them, and empowering them to move forward.
So to challenge a bit here, or kind of reframe, not everyone is you. So not everyone can go to Meow before the token launches and say, hey, I want to get involved, right?
I disagree.
No. That's ridiculous.
I disagree, and I'll tell you.
Wait.
Let me finish.
Just to clarify, okay. That Luke was involved in Jupiter afterwards, right? He did interview and stuff, but after launch, it's very important.
Yes.
After, not before. Just to clarify that.
No.
Yeah.
So here's the beauty. With crypto, you have the ability to talk to founders. You can get into the Discord, you can get into the communities, and you can get to know them, right, at a personal level. Just because I'm Luke Belmar and just because I go and I have the opportunity to sit down in person, you still as a community member, look how many people from your community have become either team members or become moderators.
Yeah, many.
I think you can get involved, absolutely.
Many.
So, or I would say, like, that's why I was more saying reframe. I would say if you can't, for some reason, there is an amazing opportunity, which is these cycles. There are bear markets where you have these amazing teams that have been building amazing things at very depressed price. And you can go in there and talk to the people and look what's happening. And for example, Solana is a great example. And probably, a lot of other projects that are doing really well now, that will do well, there is crazy opportunities during bear markets. So much so that there is even another guy who was on the podcast, Arthur Cheong from Defiance Capital. One of the things he's focusing on is liquid investing. What does that mean? I just buy tokens that are already listed, right? Why? Because I can get them in a bear market. It's much more liquid. I can sell them whenever I want. And I can get them at an amazing price because of these cycles, right? So again, like, even if you can get in at the very beginning, there is opportunities afterwards because there is these crazy cycles where you can go in there and talk to people, because during a bear market, no one is looking.
Yeah.
Almost no one is looking. So the founders are going to be basically.
Would you agree with that as an investor in crypto, you have the ability to communicate with the founding team so much more than
amazing,
and you can get involved with your investments at a bigger level than you would in any sort of traditional market.
Since when can you message the CEO of PG&E, and P&G and say, hey, how's it going, buddy? No, fucking way, not possible, right? Because again, I feel like in many ways, right? Most companies have layers and layers and layers and layers of hierarchy, right? I'm saying, But what I found to be very interesting, for example, in the bear market, right, last cycle, man, Tony was there.
Yeah.
Seriously, Tony was famous. He was on Twitter 24/7, right? We'll be hanging out somewhere, and he'll be like on his phone. And fuck you, man. He's fucking addicted to Twitter. He's replying to everybody on Twitter versus talking to people. Right? And that I feel like, and for me and stuff, like, I do a Twitter space every once or twice a week, right? I let everyone talk, right? I get to speak, right? Everyone can message me in the Discord, right? I get a notification, right? Don't spam me, okay? Thank you. But then I try to respond, right? That problem, you know what I'm saying, right? I think, for example, I'm very, very often someone be like, hey, man, this is not working, that's not working. And I'm like, I have to fix it, right? So I feel like that's actually a very important thing about crypto, and it relates to the whole building concept, okay? Because now you have a chance to actually get involved in building something, in being part of something that you just had no possibility. So as a result, if you actually get involved in the community, right, you can actually get to understand the project at a much deeper level that was never possible before, not possible before. Right.
And also realizing that even these projects that have multi-billion-dollar market caps, they still need a lot of help. Like a lot of help. And there's so many holes and gaps in a lot of these projects that if you can understand and identify the problem, you can come and not only protect the capital that you've invested into these projects, but also build with them. And you'd be surprised if you provide enough value, you could find yourself with a seat at the table. And it's the highest. They don't care about your skin color. They don't care about your religion. They don't care about your background. They don't care if you have a little NFT, PFP, or if they don't care about any of these things. They don't care about whether you're KYC'd or an ANN. They care about can you provide value? And if the answer is yes, then you can be welcomed into the seat of the table. And I've found no other market that gives you that same opportunity. You can be a person from a random village in Pakistan, India, and find yourself moderating one of the top communities, getting paid thousands of dollars, getting paid in tokens, getting paid in USDT, whatever it may be, simply because the crypto opportunity and the asymmetrical bet is so much higher than any other space in the world.
So open, man. Luke nailed it, man. So open, man. It's like literally, for us, I can speak to that, right? Let me speak to that. Is that like we don't care. You can be a cat or a dog or ghost. We don't care. We don't even know who they are, right? Many ways, right? But do you spread good energy? Do you add value? You know, can you take leadership? And it's actually very valuable, right, for us, right? And it's so valuable that we created a new idea called Decentralized Workgroups, right? Whereby these are teams that work closely with the community and the team, right? But they're funded by the DAO, right? So as for Jupiter, right? Jupiter set aside like $10 million US, right? You know, USDC, and about 100 million Jup, right? You know, over like as a yearly budget and stuff for work groups and grants, right? So what does it mean? It means that anybody, like for example, there are 2 work groups now. They work with the team and the community on driving a lot of different things, right? And then for example, one is called CWG. And they do a lot of the core processes and community engagement and the launchpad processes. Another one is an uplink work group, right? Who does the weekly calls. Amazing job, amazing value creation, right? And what happens is that they will actually get funded by the DAO, right? So the DAO actually they'll go to the DAO and say, hey, you know what? I need this amount of USDC as operational budget. I need this amount of Juke as a long-term alignment, right? You know, and they get or don't get it, depending on the DAO, right? So I think what is actually amazing Web3. And ideally, we have a lot more of this coming up, right? So I guess what I'm trying to say here is that I think it's beautiful in Web3 that you have an economic model where we are able to create a lot of value, you know, via the process of money creation, you know, right? And it's done in such an open way that anybody that wants can actually participate in it, right? And get to learn about the community and think about it, right? To see if I invest more. And it's up to the individual, right? To pick the communities that he wants to be involved in, that his efforts will be sufficiently rewarded in, and he wants to be involved in long term, right? Yeah, I think that's amazing.
That's so important, and it's so counterintuitive for people who don't understand this space, because we grew up, went to school, following a certain system where you need to have that many years of experience to just go for an internship or to be allowed to go to this job, and then you have to do that many years to become a manager and all that stuff. Whereas in crypto, it's all value-based. How much value can you provide? And then, as you said, you can get a freaking seat on the table much faster than you thought.
So the way we just share a bit more on that, right? For Jupiter point of view. So at Jupiter, right, what I try to do is that we want to kind of like make the contributors feel as valued as possible, right? You know, through a variety of mechanisms, right? Through roles in Discord, right? And through roles in Discord, through work groups, and through grant recipients, everything, right? So basically, I think what we want to do is that we want to create an extremely open way, right, for people to get involved in the way they want, and not just get capital, but also get recognition, you know, right? And it's all this, it's really cool if you think about it, right? Because like it's not me who's bestowing it, right? It's more like the community that's bestowing to you, and it's so cool to you, and it's so cool, it's so fantastic. It's such a great way to live, you know, and work. Yeah.
What are a few of your favorite teams in the space in terms of projects they're building, and why do you like them so much? Because that's one thing that people want to hear, right? It's not necessarily, hey, you should invest in this token, because obviously like there's a certain price, but it's more, what are a few teams that are building something that's really interesting?
It's a great question. I'm way more, I wish, yesterday at the DJ meetup, right, so many people asked me what to buy. right? No, seriously, so many people do. It's such a wasted opportunity because you could ask me what projects I like, what team I like. You know what I'm saying?
I agree. I think people have the wrong perspective. Perspective is completely skewed as to how you can maximize your time and how you can gain as much value for your energy and your input. And it really comes down to, like I said, betting on teams. This bull run, I'm betting on four teams. One is obviously I'm a co-owner in Pudgy Penguin, so I'm betting on Luca, and I'm betting on NFTs really being able to become a catalyst for community building. Obviously, I love the Jupiter team. I understand Meow. I understand their ethos. I understand what he's in the game for, and we're aligned in ethos, and we're not only aligned in ethos, but we're also aligned in what the future of what we want the world to be. So you have to be able to band with people that you see how you want the world to lay out. 3 is I love the Telegram team. I love Pavel. I love what he stands for. I love the application. I love decentralized communication. I like the lack of focus towards pleasing governments and really being able to give people freedom of speech and the infrastructure that's being built on there. And then obviously I have a couple investments here and there that are going to play out and do really well. But those are the 3 teams that I'm really focused on collaborating with.
Cats.
Glitches.
Bing. I think many people like meme coins, right? And I can't say anything about any specific meme coin right now, but I would say this. I would say that like get involved in the community. You know, that meme coins love new community members, right? Because they need that. Because every meme coin is built from community, right? So I feel like if you want to be involved in a meme coin, get involved in the community, right? See what it's like. I personally found that there's the highest correlations between like communities that are really strong, right? You know, and able to kind of like do the right things to get attention, right? You know, that's very important. You know how we talk about 2 things, right? Safety and attention, right? Make sense, right? Safety and attention, right? So I think 2 things. I think again, I won't name names, right? But I think what I observed, and many people are coming into the meme coin game now, right? But I think obviously we've been tracking the meme coin game for a long time, right? You know, for a long time, because we're Jupiter, we track every single meme coin, right? So and we just don't just track them, right? But actually, I also work very closely with often the teams involved. So I'm also a target of a lot of attention spamming, right? right? So I get to see the marketing strategies play out. So I would say 2 things. I would say that meme coins tend to do well. They're able to both provide safety for the members. So people know that, they won't get rocked. They trust the team, they trust the developers, they trust that, or they can't get rocked, whatever, right? But there's also attention. They're able to go out there and get attention, you know, via creative marketing strategies, via creative via creative memes, right? Via creative, just creative vibe, you know, right? Creative narrative, you know. So I think you want to look for these 2 things, right? Which communities do people feel safe, you know, and they won't just run away at first glance, right? But they're also able to provide attention, right? That's how I think about it. Yeah. And then you guys just gonna fill in.
Just to challenge a bit on that, there's 2 examples that are doing. One is doing amazingly well, the other is doing pretty well, where there were big problems in the beginning. Dogecoin, 10 years ago there were problems with the developers. Pepe last year. Pepe started really well. Then there was like some issues with a bunch of the team of the developers that just, you know, sold some tokens and everything. There was massive FUD, and it still ended up working out better.
So my opinion on there is culture, right? So Dogecoin became culturally relevant, and you need to be able to take content, community, and once in distribution of that content in that community, and eventually that becomes culturally relevant. The first 4 letters of culture is cult, right? So if you want something to sustain over an extended period of time and you want something to have longevity, it has to go through some period of FUD. It has to go through some period of hardship. And if it can withstand that fire, then it has a higher chance of surviving. So whether it's a meme coin or whether it's a project or whether it's a stock or whether it's an investment that you have, it doesn't really make a difference. You need to have distribution marketing, you need to have content, you need to have community, and you need to understand that the basis of culture is building that cult, loyal following that backs you through thick and thin, and that is willing to put their skin in the game to see that project, that idea succeed.
I mean, your two examples, Doge and Pepe, right? I mean, I didn't track Pepe that well, but I understood it a little bit, and I think it's the same story, right? It's like when things go badly, right? Trust gets lost, but are they able to rebuild it, right? Is the community able to rebuild it, right? And for every example that works out, there are maybe 5 or 10 that doesn't work out, right? I think so. I feel like that's actually why I think if you believe in the community and it's down, invest in it. Right? That's interesting. Right?
And what I would say is if you're a team member, if you're a builder, never make irreversible mistakes. Never make irreversible mistakes. There are things that communities are willing to forgive and forget, and there are things when you fuck with somebody's money, right? Like there's irreversible mistakes, and then there's mistakes that are not irreversible. Your job as a builder, your job as part of a team, as a project, is to always be okay with making mistakes. You're not going to be perfect, but always focus on making mistakes that have some sort of reversibility factor attached to them. If your TGE is bad, if your FDV is kind of whack, if you're taking in VC money and letting the VCs dump on your holders, if you're not showing up, there's certain things that the community will just say, fuck this guy, fuck this team, I'm out. And we see it time and time again because people make irreversible mistakes and irreversible damage. So focus on just building, and then be in a situation whereby if you make mistakes, just make sure that they're mistakes that you can come back from, and take your time in the decision-making process, because just like crypto is also a great place of opportunity, it's also a place that if you fuck up really, really bad, they will not forgive and they will not forget. So focus on...
Is that true? Is that really true? Because I found in crypto, people have attention, like
but I think they're anomalies.
The memory, like people just 1-2 years move on.
I mean, you do have you do have like scammers that have been around for a few cycles, and they can go and put out a token address and they raise $30 million. But I think that also comes with the fact that there's new people coming into the space, and they'll trust a high count following, or they'll trust a PFP that you have, or they'll trust certain things. But as a general consensus, I think that as a builder, focus on just building. If you're gonna fuck up, it's inevitable. You're gonna have FUD, it's inevitable. You're gonna have people that don't like you, it's inevitable. But just focus on taking care of your community, and your community will take care of you.
I feel like that's true. I think I don't think it's any like finance and anything, but I think that last statement is true, right? I feel like there needs to be an extremely synergistic relationship between the team and the community. Right, and I think, and that's what I try to do. Right, I strive to have a extremely synergistic, right, relationship. Right, where I trust that they take care of me, but I don't take care of them. So it's like it's not one or the other, right? It's like it's like in any healthy relationship, right? It's not dependence, it's interdependence, right? I think I strive for the interdependence. Yeah.
That's so interesting, because I had the CEO of Monad yesterday on the podcast, Kioni. And he was saying exactly that. He was saying, I feel like I'm really giving some massive alpha here. But for Monad, I've always said since the very beginning that the product is the community. It's not yes, we're building a technology, but our actual product is the community. And not enough people really understand that in crypto. They kind of say, yeah, the community is important, the community this, the community that. But actually, if you understand that you're building a massively solid community, then...
The community is built off of a few factors: mission, vision, and values. So what's the mission of the project? What's the vision for the project? And what are the values of the team? Unless you can rally behind mission, vision, and values, and unless you're able to deliver those mission, vision, and values, then people are just there as mercenaries. And your job as a team founder, your job as a team lead, your job as a builder is not to create mercenaries, but to create missionaries. Because if at the end of the game, at the end of the day, at the end of this entire thing that we're trying to do here, it doesn't matter how much money we make if we're still nuking each other in society. We're still dropping bombs on fucking 4-year-old children.
Yeah,
then
terrible.
we fucked up the entire game. We fucked up the entire narrative as to why we're doing crypto, and we just end up being just as bad as the people that we're trying to compete against.
I just to say that, right, I feel like it's actually really important to I'll go even one step further, right? I will say that what you want to do here is that you want to actually get to a point whereby the community, it's not about team values, it's community values, right? Can you have it's not just a team value, it's about community values, right? Community mission, right? Community code, right? And that's actually what I think actually what everyone should strive for, right? Because the two most misused words in crypto, right, is decentralization and community, right? Everyone says community, blah, 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 blah. But I think very, very, very few people actually do the work, right? Like, you remember there's this, I won't say the name, but then this project did an airdrop, the users complained, and someone in the team called it e-baggers, right? E-baggers. Man, that broke trust, man. Because that clearly showed your value, how you see the community, right? And that's over. I think it's very hard because like you clearly demonstrated with no doubt how you see the community, right? And I think that's actually really tricky. So I think for us, I don't even okay. So here's my trick, okay? Now, and I'll end on this, but I think the key to understanding this is that you are the community. I am the community. I swear to God, I don't see, obviously for certain structural reasons there's team and community, but I don't see it that way, right? I really, really see the me and every member of the team as part of the community. We all just play a different role, right? I think that's very important because like that humbles you, Yeah,
it's very interesting that you say that. One of my favorite artists of all time, and we probably all like him as well, is Kanye West. And Kanye West has been able to revolutionize the way that people think about music, the way that people think about fashion, the shoes that people wear. And Kanye West famously said, "I am culture. I am culture." So if you have culture and you're able to translate that from yourself and instill those values into your community, and you're able to translate the mission, vision, and values over an extended period of time, you have a very good chance at winning.
You tweeted today, and this is very relevant because we have 3 people around this table who are fairly fit mentally, physically.
No. Okay.
You said you were better before, but you're still good. You're still good.
We gotta get shit, bro.
You said, oh, we'll do it. We'll do it. Body of an athlete, mind of a stoic, spirit of a warrior. One of the most common passion that we both share is that, and that is extremely useful to stand the test of time of entrepreneurship and crypto, is biohacking or health in general, right? So what do you guys do to be able not only to survive building all these businesses, but also thrive and stay mentally sane when you go through crazy event like, Jupiter Token Lounge?
Oh, I have friends. I have friends. Yeah, that's all you need. It's all you need. Seriously, I think you can. I think people go a lot into the specifics of what to eat, what to wear, how much to sleep. Brian Johnson being the perfect example of that, right? The extreme of that, right? I'm kind of on the extreme of that. I'll be honest here, right? I think I'm lazy, okay, and I am. And Jupiter is trying to do many things, right? From the out for Launchpad to building the best DAO in the world to wanting to bring crypto to like the masses, right? To wanting to decentralize finance, wanting to break the extreme centralization of finance. I will do many things, right? Done, right? And of course, the product matters, right? So every day I'm also looking at the product, things to break, the oracles don't work, we do fix a lot of stuff. So basically, I'm very loaded, right? So basically, I think and every day I'm overwhelmed, right? With the sheer amount of problems and the community, because I'm open to the community too, right? The community pings me every day on Twitter, on Discord, right? On emails, right? On Telegram, whatever, right? So I feel like so I guess what I'm trying to say here is that every day I am overwhelmed by my long-term ideas, but my mid-term strategy and my very immediate short-term pains, right, or needs of the users, right, and the community and team. So I think so basically I have no mental space for optimizing anything else, right? So what I do is that I make sure I have good friends, who are in many ways the mental and spiritual and physical examples of what I like, you know, because if I hang out with them, right, eventually I'll get there, you know, eventually, and so they'll drag me to the gym, right, they'll talk to me, right, they'll pet talk me, you know, they drag me to ice baths. You know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, I told him. I said he's like, "Yo, let's hang out." It's like, okay, we're going to sauna and we're going to ice baths. As much as some people hate on it, for example, ice baths, it's a great way to reduce cortisol levels. It's a great way to de-stress.
He's
amazing right after.
My co-founder he doesn't do any fitness, man. This guy got him addicted to ice baths. Now he goes every week. You know, yeah, it's awesome. Yeah,
but it's really good. Yeah,
yeah.
Really
And in summary, what my hack, my life hack is that I try to spend time with people I think are awesome.
Yeah, I agree. And also understanding that if money's all that you have and if you're building but you're neglecting your health, then you also kind of lost the game. We were just saying, like, dude, imagine you're extremely overweight. Imagine you're in a situation where you can't move. That's not an optimized life. Like, you can't be out here sacrificing your health and your mental wellness for others. You need to also be able to prioritize your well-being. And that's an encouragement to all the builders and all the founders. Just because you're doing a ton of shit, and just because you have all this stuff that you have to work on, don't neglect yourself. Because eventually it's going to catch up. You don't sleep for X amount of weeks, like, it's going to catch up. You don't exercise, you eat like shit, eventually it will catch up.
And one of the SBF probably slept very little. Oof. You know, it was famous for him taking a lot of amphetamines or whatever, right?
And then see him shake on every interview.
No, the guys, the problem is this, right? The problem is that it compromises the decision making. You know, right?
Absolutely.
It's like even if you say I don't care about my health, I don't care anything, right? The problem is this: when you are not mentally healthy and stuff, right? You compromise the decision making, right? You react, you blow up over small things. You get angry at community members, right? You know, you fail to have empathy for token holders. Right, I think one thing that I have a lot of empathy for is token holders. Right, it's like, I think at a personal level, I think the price is not important for me. Right, but I think I do understand that people care about the price, and then they have pain, right, when they had the price. So I think what I want to do is to have empathy. Right, but when you are completely stressed out, completely broken, that's why you can't have empathy. Right, you lack. You lack the key mental facilities for good decision making. And what are those, right? The patience, empathy, clarity, you know, right? And that is and those three things. So with amphetamines, for example, right, you get a lot of energy, drive, ambition, right? But you lose out on everything else, right? You know, so I feel like that is actually for any founder, for any investor who don't care about health and stuff, but just want to optimize for the portfolio or the company and stuff, I would say this, right? My pitch to you for staying in good mental health, right, is three things, right? Clarity, patience, empathy. The roots of good strategic decision making. Yeah.
And doing hard things. When you do hard things physically, Miyamoto Musashi famously said, when the mind is weak, let the body be strong, and when the body is strong, and when the body is weak, let the mind be strong. So it's a cycle, right? It's a cycle, and yeah, not every day you're going to be able to go to the gym. You're traveling. I've been traveling for the last 2 months. I'm not able to optimize for the routine that I want. I'm not able to sleep. But there's seasons of life, but it's a marathon. Life is a marathon. The game is a marathon. If you're only playing short-term 100-meter sprints, and that's the name of the game for you, then eventually you're going to burn out.
I like it though. I like it because you can always be one or the other, right? It's very hard to be like always tip-top shape on both. Right, like I'm certainly at this point in time, I lost a bunch of weight and everything and stuff. I'm not as well tuned physically as I want to, but I feel mentally really good, right? And because I feel mentally really good, I'm in good shape and my schedule clears up next month, so I'm in good shape, right? I'm in good mental clarity to hit the gym, eat well, and everything next month, right? You know what I'm saying? You know? Right? Yeah. So I think that's important because you can always, even if one is down, do the other, you know, and so on and so forth. Yeah, very important.
So mental health is the key benchmark. But for founders,
mental and physical, both, yeah.
But for founders, it's very easy to be in denial. I'm doing great, or I'll do good. Like
I mean, just look at your. I mean, at the end of the day, denial does not mean reality, and eventually reality will catch up to you.
Yeah,
so just look at yourself in the mirror. If you don't feel good, if you're stressed, if you're depressed, I mean, look at just what the happy chemical is. Happy chemical is serotonin. Serotonin is produced in the gut. It's produced by your diet. It's produced by the things that you consume. It's not just, thinking positive thoughts. If you're thinking positive thoughts, but your biochemistry in your entire body's out of sync, then eventually you're going to feel the consequences of that. Nobody can neglect natural law, right? Nobody can slam their face against the wall enough times and expect not to get bruised. Eventually, things are going to catch up. So I think it's a marathon.
Just to go through the last few months, right? Because I really went through a lot of like the emotion cycle, right? Last few months, I feel like it's true because like you can deny all you want. I think there was certainly many times before the Jupe launch that I was getting caught up in my own hype, right? That I tweeted certain things in a certain vibe that I actually didn't appreciate. I look back at my stuff, right? And back then there were people who was like, hey dude, you're probably kind of like being a bit like, too much, right? I was like, I'm okay. I was in delusion, right? But I think what was good was that I didn't really go overboard, right? That I had a certain level of like self-consciousness. I didn't overstep per se, right? And I think similarly, I think during a Jupe launch, I was under a lot of stress. I mean, because there was so much misinformation. It's crazy, right? You get so angry, right? And I think and similarly, I think even that period of time, I was very, very aggressive in like defending the things, right? I mean, I went on Laura Shin, Defiant, like Trusters podcast, like every single famous podcast, right? Things that do kind of clarify things, right? But I think, and I did, and people were telling me, dude, chill the fuck out, man, right? But and to your point, I did. It was hard for me to have perspective, right? For me, I was like, I'm doing the right thing, right? I still think that I was pretty okay on that front, but I did actually kind of lose perspective. So I think it was like, I feel like even if you occasionally lose perspective, right? As what they were saying and stuff, right? But as long as you kind of like realize that you are not as clear-minded as you think you are, right? As long as you keep that thought in your mind, then I think that helps because then that allows you to like pull back before it's too late, Yeah. And if you look at and I love this example. If you look at SBF, Suju, and Dokon, right? They didn't pull back. They just
doubled down.
Seriously, it's amazing. It's like right at the end, they really, really like SBF literally had to be sentenced to whatever hundreds of jail before he repented, right? That's crazy.
This is the ultimate example of complete denial. Like you're so deep into your denial that you just don't.
He had to be in jail before, like sentenced to jail before he was like, okay, I better change the way I think about stuff,
And the thing is, he hasn't changed the way that he thinks. The thing is, you can live in denial and you can live in your own delusion. And at the end of the day, like I said in the beginning, just as a founder, as an entrepreneur, as a person, just never make irreversible decisions. Never say shit that you're going to regret, because once it's out on the internet, you're fucked.
And you do, but apologize for it. And over here, I want to say a big thank you to everyone who was like so supportive and helped me and corrected me and sent me messages and tell me to correct anything. I might not have listened at that point in time, but just want to let everyone who is in this thing, if you ever told me anything to help me improve, thank you. I love you. Yeah, and I try to do better. Yeah, that's all. Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Amazing.
Thanks for having us, brother. Great session.
Oh, cool.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Actually, the last question was like, what's your message to all the people who believe in you out there? So
I'll give you my last message, and I'll keep it very simple. Focus on becoming the best version of yourself. Focus on improving in every area of life, and understand that life is a marathon and not a sprint. Find allies. Find people that are aligned with mission, vision, and values of what you want to see the world be. Work with them over an extended period of time, and understand that money, success is a lagging indicator. And that eventually, if you plant enough seeds, if you plant enough goodwill, and if you build, you will get rewarded.
I want to share something very important for me. I think, guys, we are in a critical point in crypto now. Okay, does crypto become a purely giant casino, right? Or do we return to the ethos of why we are doing everything? Okay, I think what's really important, and I want to look at everyone here, right? Is that let's work towards a decentralized financial world. Let's work together a world whereby everyday people actually use crypto, not just owns crypto, right? For payments, for remittances, for like buying a car, for everything. You buying a house, starting a company, everything, right? Because when we actually get to that point, right? Where everyone's actually using decentralized technologies to do all these decentralized financial things for daily things that they need, right? That is actually when we start to have the ability to break free of the infinite Tsukumiyaki, because then we start to enter this parallel financial universe. But to get there, we need enough people in it, because everything we talked about requires a critical mass of people. We need hundreds and millions of people to live in this parallel decentralized universe. Otherwise, it wouldn't work. We would never get critical mass, right?
And we're at a time crunch.
Precisely.
We are at a very difficult time. AI is being introduced as a tool for mass control. And there will come a time where if we do not get our shit together and if we do not become too big to fail,
accurate, no.
then we're going to be fucked. And it doesn't matter if you're sitting on hundreds of millions of dollars. Doesn't matter if you got a Lamborghini in the garage. It doesn't matter if you got 10 million followers on Instagram. If we do not collaborate together to fundamentally and radically change the way that we perceive reality, the way that we collaborate with each other, building decentralized communities, building digital tribes, then the future does not look bright. But we have an opportunity. We have a chance, and we got to work together.
And I know we're ending, but I really need to say this, right? So important to jump onto that point, right? Is that guys, it's we need to change the idea of crypto to the world, okay? Because if not, people will hate crypto, can set the agenda. Guys, let me say again, right? Now, we're entering a pivotal moment, okay? Where the masses will start to understand two things. Is crypto this giant Ponzi and scamming industry, right? Or is it a fundamental force of change, right? That can be used by daily people. We're in a race. Why? Because crypto is very high value right now, okay? If the more the market cap of crypto increases, right? But imagine these guys, right? Imagine if crypto goes from 2 trillion to 10, 20 trillion, right? Make sense? But then the usefulness of crypto in real usefulness of decentralization is still extremely low. Then it's actually really bad. It's not great, right? Then what we're doing is that we're giving the opponents of crypto a lot of ammunition, right? To say, crypto is useless, it's full of scams and everything, right? So what I need to do is as we grow the market cap of crypto, we must also grow the people who actually use decentralized technologies and financial systems, right? And that's what we're here to do. We want to grow these two things in parallel. We have to grow into the parallel, and only in this case, we get the critical mass of people who is actually in this parallel financial universe, and that's what we're here for, Yeah.
Absolutely, and I think that's one of the key things we're trying to do here also, which is educate the people in a simplistic fashion enough so that they understand, because unfortunately, crypto is still very intimidating for a lot of people, and even I think the media out there and the podcasts are extremely technical, which is not appealing to most of the people.
Kevin, can I just say something real quick here? It's think of we think of Instagram as very easy to use, right?
Yeah.
Right. But the first few iterations of social web, BBS, Usenet, right, weird ass forums, right? They're not easy to use at all, right? So I feel I agree with you. Don't get me wrong. I 100% agree with you that onboarding people into this is still very difficult today. But I think that has hope. Okay. I feel if you look at it's already much better, right? Much better than before 2 years ago. Yeah. So we will get better, and we will get there.
Yeah, you look at 2017, in order for you to participate in an ICO, you had to be in a situation whereby you had to send tokens to a random address. And from that random address, you would hope that they would send you some tokens back. Today, with Jupiter Exchange, with the projects that are being built out, you have the ability to really participate in a parallel universe that is very, very exciting. The asymmetrical bet to builders is huge. The asymmetrical bet to be involved with communities is massive. It's the opportunity of a lifetime, and I hope people understand that this opportunity will not be around forever. We got to work together. We got to collaborate. The sky's the limit.
If the opponents start to tear us apart, if we don't convince the masses that we are here, we are useful, and we are a great industry, we can change their lives, they will tear us apart, right? And crypto is the only way for us to escape the infinite Tsukumiyaki. I'm convinced of that, right? AI is a centralizing force. Seriously, AI is not a popular opinion, but AI is a centralizing force. Crypto is a decentralizing force. Don't get me wrong, I love AI, right? But ultimately, it's a centralizing force. Okay, we need crypto to be as strong a decentralizing force as possible.
Amazing, guys. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thanks for having us,
That
brother.
was amazing.
Thanks, man. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.